Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. I am your host, Phil. This is the signal without the slop. Let's take a look at the stories we are going to cover today. The bull market still intact. I was supposed to do an update for this this shitcoin project, the People's Reserve, yesterday, and I screwed that up. So we're going to take a look at that. Shout out to Count Bitcoin. Venezuela replacing the Bolivar with... yeah, it's not going to be Bitcoin. Anyways, Belarus, Bitcoin news. Is it Bitcoin news? Vietnam, right? Vietnam is trying to save the dong. Shout out to Lucky Red Fish for tagging me in that one. We've got some, yeah, that's right. We've got some more developments with the paper Bitcoin summer. That's right. The Strive CEO is back. And yeah, they're merging with Strive is merging with some public company that also has a chart that looks like a train wreck. We're going to take a look at that. And of course, we've got another company, right? Low-key, privately held company, and they're stacking sats. Doesn't sound so interesting, but guess what? I'm interested in that, right? Because they're not creating a whole bunch of debt to buy and accumulate Bitcoin. They simply have a great business that brings in cash flow where they save in Bitcoin. I know it sounds crazy. Anyways, guys, all right, we are going to dive into all of this fun. But before we do, you know the deal. I got to check if I'm muted, which I'm not. Yeah, we're going to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor, and we are going to be right back. Here we go. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. All right. I love reading the comments. Yeah, I can't help it, man. I just, you know, I get these canned lines that I can say easily, and it's just it always just comes out. Anyways, all right, let's dive into it. First, we're gonna start off with some bullishness, right? Let's set the stage. Obviously, the Charlie Kirk assassination yesterday. I'm not gonna talk about this right now. I'm gonna talk about this at the end of the show. But first, we're going to do some happiness, and we're going to bring everybody back, right? Let's get back into focus, unfortunately. Here we go. So, it's a tweet from the Angry Chihuahua. I always appreciate the Angry Chi, although I don't always think he's always right, but I do appreciate his takes. And that's okay. None of us are always right. Hey, none of us are perfect. So, but I appreciate his bullishness. Nevertheless, this is the all-time Bitcoin 12 and 6 month average. No bear until 6 trends below 12. Boom. There's the chart. Okay. So that the 6 that he's talking about is this kind of what is that color? Fuchsia? Is that some kind of fuchsia or turquoise? Anyways, look kind of blue. Who knows? But yeah, that is the line on top. So what he is saying, what the Angry Chihuahua is saying, TLDR, the bull market is still intact. And if what the Angry Chihuahua said isn't enough, here you go. Look. We've got Fidelity, right? Fidelity, boom, $1 billion. Nice. All right. So, hey, look, I obviously hope that you know, they're right. It's going to help me out. That's for sure. Maybe it's a little too bullish. I don't know. But hey, if we get it, we're going to be happy, right? So why not? Okay, so there you go. There's some good bullishness to start us off, and let's continue now because we've got some really weird stories. Start off with the first one here. This is Venezuela. Yeah. Don't worry, I got some hopium at the end, Chris. Also, hopium's kind of scattered all around. You know, try to not to piss people off the whole entire time. Oh wait, you know what? No, before we do the Venezuela thing, we are gonna go over the People's Reserve. Okay, so if you don't remember the People's Reserve, that this was this guy that was in the Bitcoin space for a little while. I'm completely forgetting completely forgetting his name, but it's irrelevant, right? He's always talking about Bitcoin. He loves Bitcoin. Bitcoin is great, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, lo and behold, hey, look, I've got this crazy shitcoin platform that I am going to come up with and buy my shitcoin. So here is an update on, and I did a previous video on this. I'll link it in the show notes for you guys if you want to see. I broke down the whole People's Reserve thing, and yeah, this is just an update. So here we go. Our initial plan was to open a Uniswap liquidity pool and to launch our platform shortly afterward. But due to exciting developments, there's always exciting developments, guys, because this is blowing up. Okay, it's blowing up. We've chosen to make a strategic pivot, and we couldn't be more excited to share why. Final stages of merger negotiations with a company that would bring People's Reserve to the NASDAQ. Pay attention, guys. This means the number is going to go up. You could, right? We could be getting on the ground floor of an opportunity. Like, it's such bullshit sales. Anyways, this opportunity, there you go. This opportunity has the potential. I love potential. To dramatically accelerate our growth. Huge, guys, huge. Expand our liquidity and open the door to us serving a much larger audience, bringing significant value to the platform. All of this obviously is very important wording in order to, it's supposed to make our monkey brains excited, right? We're supposed to be excited about this stuff. Oh, think of how great things can be, right? If I just get in on the ground floor of this opportunity. I'm not saying you should. I think this is a total garbage, and I think this falls apart. Anyways, during final negotiations as a tribute to Bitcoin, I love tributes. Tribute to Bitcoin's 21 million cap, right? He loves Bitcoin, okay? So that's what matters. That's what you need to remember, okay? We have launched a PRN token bonus. If you don't know what PRN is, this is their token, which, by the way, doesn't actually trade on any exchanges. So that's interesting. We've seen that before, but of course, eventually it will, right? So here's the bonus, right? 21 million PRN loyalty tokens available, and the price is 21 cents per token. What a steal. What a steal. With the possibility of People's Reserve stepping onto the NASDAQ stage, right? This is, again, making your monkey brain think of the possibilities, right? This is what we're supposed to do. We believe this round offers tremendous value. Before, it was just value, right? It was maybe great value. At this point, it's become tremendous value for new and existing shareholders alike. Don't miss this opportunity to be holding a bag of shitcoins that will hopefully go to the moon because this story. I'm sorry, guys. It just pisses me off so much. Yep, it's just a shitcoin. I personally think that this falls apart in an astronomical way. I could be totally wrong. We're going to see, right? But to me, it's got all the red flags, right? Token created out of thin air. I love Bitcoin. Because I love Bitcoin, I'm doing this business. And instead of giving you Bitcoin, I'm going to give you this free shitcoin that I produce for absolutely nothing and keep your money in the ecosystem. Anyways, just nonsense. All right, People's Reserve, down bad. That's not going anywhere. Moving on, okay, back to Venezuela. Back to the Venezuela news. So you may have seen this story framed as a Bitcoin story, but not so much once you dive into it, right? Binance dollars replace Venezuela's Bolivar as inflation hits 229%. Stable coins like USDT are overtaking Venezuela's Bolivar for everyday payments, from groceries to salaries. Now, I can guarantee you the government doesn't like this over there, right? They would much rather people using a government shitcoin, but nonetheless, they're using Binance. Binance's shitcoin. But anyways, stable coins like USDT have become the de facto currency for millions of people navigating a crumbling financial system in Venezuela. Tether's USDT, often referred to locally as Binance dollars. It's very interesting, right? Because Tether's actually run on Ethereum. But I know that they're on multiple chains, but it's just funny, right? Because they don't actually even call it Tether. It's just called Binance dollars. Good marketing, CZ. Great job. Is now widely used across Venezuela for everything from groceries to condo fees and salaries. That's not looking good. Anyways, despite its potential, BUSD faces hurdles in Venezuela, regulatory uncertainty, and U.S. sanctions have limited the availability of certain stablecoins, pushing users towards alternatives. Not really surprised. Not really surprised. Look, people are going to navigate towards the stable coins. In my eyes, just more freely than they would Bitcoin. For whatever reason, there's a lot of people that seem to believe that because something is state backed, that there's some type of assurance, right? I mean, really, the only assurance is the enforcement of violence. That's really what it is, and legal enforcement. So I'd rather be holding Bitcoin. I'd rather be using Bitcoin. But of course, in countries where you have that kind of insane inflation, you're just going to use whatever you can to stay alive. Does Venezuela eventually turn the page and move towards Bitcoin? Maybe. I think it's a better move than the stable coins. But in all fairness, they got to do what they can because the local currency is just completely falling apart. So it's just crazy. Hey, Mel. Thanks for joining us. Yep, Chris. It's unbelievable. Okay, moving on. All right, so Belarus, right? Let's talk about Belarus here. Let's talk about what's going on. So you probably saw this, right, from Bitcoin Magazine. I love this. I think I'm going to start doing this, right? I'm just going to start slapping people's faces with a Bitcoin logo next to them, even though it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Oh, Phil, what are you talking about? So, Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko urges banks to expand crypto amid sanctions. They're not advocating for Bitcoin. Like, I don't know what this does for us by pretending. Doesn't do anything. Just lies. Anyways, over the past 5 years, the national economy and with it, the Belarusian banking sector have faced unprecedented challenges. The government and the national banks have been given correspondence instructions. Now act. That's a good one. I like that. I appreciate that. Yeah. So Lukashenko also told, and this is right. This is the key. This is the key to the whole thing, right? Was somebody showing you a picture of, this guy and Bitcoin? Well, Lukashenko also told the banking leaders to increase the adoption of digital payment systems. Digital payment systems. That's usually banking. Anyways, after making a start with QR codes and to launch an instant payment system by the end of the year. Spoiler alert, guys, this is not going to be Bitcoin. I'm sorry. It's just, I want it to be. Of course I want it to be. I'm a Bitcoiner. So of course I want everything to be Bitcoin, but it's just not what's happening. All right. It's not what's going on. Sorry, guys. All right. Let's go take a look. This is a really interesting one from Lucky Redfish, one of our fellow viewers and listeners, and a friend to the show who has made a lot of really cool graphics for the show over the years. And for some reason, I just pulled up the wrong image. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me a sec. I already did the Belarus stuff. Okay, so now we're going to the Vietnam stuff. All right. Where's the Vietnam stuff? Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go. Vietnam. Let's do it. Vietnam launches 5-year crypto market pilot with strict controls. I definitely had to do a little digging into this one because I did not quite understand the story, but here we go. Vietnam's deputy prime minister, Hu Duc Phuc, signed a resolution. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. Closest I came to it. A resolution enforcing a framework establishing rules for trading and issuance of crypto assets, taking effect immediately. The pilot requires crypto transactions from issuance to trading and payments to be carried out in Vietnam Dong. Now, in my eyes, the minute I read this, I understood that this is a government that understands that they need to protect their currency. Okay, like this is to me, like that is exactly what happened. So the pilot establishes restrictions on the backing of crypto assets, requiring that they be issued exclusively on the basis of real assets. Crypto assets must be issued based on underlying assets that are real assets, excluding assets that are securities or fiat currencies. Granted, I mean, I guess what they're trying to do, right, is make it so that you are actually going to have a basket of commodities backing these assets. I think that's going to introduce the Oracle problem all over again, right? Because now you have a trusted third party that you must trust that claims to hold the asset that your digital token is based off of. I mean, look, it's definitely a step to attempt to save the dong, right? Like that's, to me, that is clear. That's what's happening. Whether or not it works, we're going to have to see. I'm sure it is going to work for for a certain amount of time, anyways. At least a little bit, right? Until they figure out that it doesn't. Because we all know what's going to happen, right? That the Oracle problem will rear its ugly head. There is 100% going to be an institution that does not hold the assets that they claim they hold. And all of a sudden, all the people that bought that token and that are using that token, it's just going to completely blow up. So that's just the inevitability. We've seen that type of stuff happen before. All right, moving on. Let's keep going here. What's next? What are we looking at next? Oh, all right. Let's dive into the new treasury, right? The new Bitcoin treasury. Okay, so here we go. $1.5 billion BTC treasury company coming as asset entities approves merger with Vivek Ramaswamy's Strive. Now you may not remember Strive, but Phil keeps some receipts, and I remember this guy from the Bitcoin conference having the fake conversation with Mark Zuckerberg. So, and because I find this so entertaining and funny, I'm going to show it again.
Can we hear this? I can't hear
to you live from the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas, Nevada.
I'm not talking to anybody.
That Meta put Bitcoin on its corporate balance sheet.
All right, so we don't need to watch the whole entire thing. I just like to bring us all back to that point, right? The guy having the fake conversation with Mark Zuckerberg's answering machine, right? It's great. Well, guess what? Now his company's merging with this digital. What are they called? What are they called? Asset entities. Okay, that's a fucking name. We do nothing. That literally, that's what that is. We do nothing. I know I'm being mean. I don't care. So let's take a look at the charts. The charts. I like this chart. So obviously it's a brand new company, right? They just IPO'd. No business, no problem. No sweat. Did a reverse split on the shares. So if you made the mistake of buying the shares before July, you just got diluted. Why did you get diluted? Because they have no business. And hey, now they're going to merge with Strive, right? Everything should go well. They become a Bitcoin treasury company. So yeah, I'm going to watch this, but I'm also going to stay very far away from this. This is one of those things you want to watch from a distance because it falls apart. It falls apart in a big way. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just, the red flags for me is the pump and dump chart with the reverse split so quickly. Like you got to realize that these guys weren't even running for a year as a public company before they had to reverse split their shares, right? So that means if you had 5 shares, you now only have 1 share. And you could see that chart is going down and to the right. Down and to the right. Okay, just pointing that out. Anyways, good luck to them. Good luck to them and whatever it is that they're doing. And all right, finally, some solid hopium over here, guys. I think it's pretty solid. I like seeing small businesses like this. West Maine Self-Storage buys additional 0.089 Bitcoin and now holds a total of 0.61. This is sweet, right? This is a business that is actually storing their excess cash flows into Bitcoin. Oh my gosh. It's so crazy. It might just work. Now, the reason why I'm so happy with these guys, I went to go take a look at their profile. Someone messaged us about a shitcoin that someone created with a business name. I love it. I love it. We want to be crystal clear that we are a Bitcoin only business. We will never launch or accept any shitcoins. God bless you guys. And I just want to point out, when I went to their website, they accept Bitcoin for payment. So I'm kind of hoping that they also reciprocate, and if any of their service providers would take Bitcoin as payment, that they would also pay their service providers with Bitcoin. So yeah, all right. The part I've been not wanting to talk about this whole time and been avoiding. So the what happened yesterday. I mean, obviously it's September 11th today, and I remember where I was on September 11th. I was in tech school. I'm not going to go through the whole entire story about that. It's not about making a sob point. When I see stuff like what happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk, I can't help but think of the death of freedom of speech. With every single one of these acts, we get closer and closer to places that we don't want to be. I believe, and again, this has nothing to do. Like, look, you know, not everybody agrees. Not everybody sees life the same way. But the reality is that freedom of speech is absolutely crucial to a functioning society. And when we see this type of breakdown, this worries me, because it means that the conversation has stopped. It means that we have de-evolved to the point where we cannot control. And I say we. I'm just talking about individuals, where certain individuals can no longer control their emotions, and when all you have left is advocating for physical violence, I think that that's the moment where, I mean, obviously it should come before that, that there should be a moment where you stop before that and say, maybe I'm not looking at this right. But of course, extremists never look at it that way, right? The ends always justify, the means always justify the ends, right? It's just, it's so bad and it's so tragic. And I genuinely, obviously, I feel sorry for, for his family and, all of his friends. It is just, sorry guys. I genuinely, I'm just at odds. What really scares me as well, is seeing these people cheering for this type of behavior. The people that think that it's okay to do that. I could never. I will always stand up for people's ability to be able to speak freely and be safe in speaking freely. Right. It doesn't mean that you will not be opposed. It doesn't mean that people aren't going to disagree or whatnot. But every single one of us should have that opportunity to be able to speak freely and without the fear of violence. Yeah. Yeah, this is absolutely right. When you use violence or censorship, it means you're wrong, and you're wrong. What bothers me the most about this is kind of the hardest thing for me to say. Anyways, I get choked up about this kind of stuff, but to take away somebody's choices, to take away every choice that somebody could have ever made. It's not just, this doesn't just happen in murders, right? It happens, unfortunately, in situations where, where people are abused, raped, stuff like that. I know we're not supposed to say that on YouTube, but whatever. I think that people don't understand the seriousness. Some people don't understand the seriousness of their actions, and they don't understand the depth of taking away somebody's every choice they would have ever made. Anyways, all right, guys, that's all I got. Tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we've got Portland Hodl. That's gonna be contentious, I'm sure. everybody's gonna give me shit, that's for sure. But it doesn't matter because we need to have these conversations. Maybe now, in light of real life, in light of real things that happen, maybe we realize that core versus Knots is complete bullshit, right? It's complete bullshit. Anyways, either way, we are going to have the conversation tomorrow, Portland Hoddle and I, and it should be interesting. Guys, you know the deal. If you want to hop into the chat, you want to ask questions, I am not going to be shielding Portland, right? You want not going to be shielding him. So, it's going to get wild, probably. All right, guys, that's it for me for today. Try to have a great rest of the day. And just remember, right? Life is precious, okay? And taking away people's choices, that's insane. It really, really is. Anyways, take it easy, guys. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.